Resuming debate, reprise de débat, the honourable member for Scarborough Rouge River.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it really is a shame that once again the Conservatives are pushing through yet another omnibus budget bill. Since 2011, the NDP in opposition, we've fought to break down government omnibus budgets brought to this House into manageable legislation. So members have the opportunity to consider and debate the new legislation that's being proposed so we can deliver better results for Canadians. Omnibus bills have had a bad reputation on Parliament Hill for some time now, Mr. Speaker. No one, other than the Conservatives, seems to really like them. I'd like to share with you some strong words on omnibus bills from a member in the House of Commons from 1995. And I quote, Mr. Speaker, "In the interest of democracy, I ask, how can members represent their constituents on these various areas when they're forced to vote in a block on such legislation and on such concerns? We can agree with some of the measures, but oppose others. How do we express our views and the views of our constituents when the matters are so diverse?" End quote. Who said that? Exactly, let me tell you. This blast from the past, Mr. Speaker, is absolutely right, and I would introduce him to the Prime Minister, if they weren't already so close, Mr. Speaker, as it was the Prime Minister himself who said this when he was the Leader of the Opposition. But back to the budget implementation bill that's before us, Mr. Speaker. It's amazing that the budget implementation bill is over 350 pages, has almost 500 clauses, amends dozens of bills, and the best part? It includes a variety of measures never even mentioned in the budget speech by the Minister of Finance. You would think that measures in the budget implementation bill would have also actually been in the budget. Yeah, not so much this time, Mr. Speaker. But I should give credit where credit is due. There are some parts of the bill which the NDP supports. For example, the government is using the budget implementation bill as an opportunity to rectify their previous attempt to levy the GST and HST on hospital parking, a leftover from Budget 2013. This, however, does not make up for the other measures included in the budget implementation bill or Conservative attempts to ram this bill through the House, Mr. Speaker. The truth is that the budget implementation bill includes a large variety of complex measures that deserve thorough consideration and scrutiny. The tabling of such a large and wide-ranging bill in such a short time frame undermines Parliament because it denies individual MPs the ability to thoroughly study the bill and its implications. This is one of the most important jobs of an MP, one of the reasons that the people of Scarborough Rouge River sent me here to Ottawa. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, the budget implementation bill fails to provide solutions for issues that matter to Canadians and to my constituents in Scarborough Rouge River, such as jobs and the economy, immigration and family reunification, safety and retirement, and I'll talk about a few of those today. Despite the cries from the Conservative benches that they are the best managers of the economy, the budget implementation bill fails to help the leading drivers of our economy, the small and medium-sized businesses. We know that the small and medium-sized businesses provide 70% of new jobs in the Canadian labour market. Unfortunately, the budget implementation bill fails to renew the small business job tax creation tax credit first proposed by the NDP in 2011. When 300,000 Canadians are struggling to find work, wouldn't we want to make it easier for small businesses to hire more workers? Unfortunately, the budget implementation bill fails to do this and fails to help these employers. But it also fails the struggling Canadian worker. There's nothing in the budget for this bill to get the almost 300,000 unemployed back to work, or to help reduce the 400,000 manufacturing jobs that were lost under this Prime Minister's watch. The cruel joke is that while 300,000 unemployed Canadians are looking for work, the Conservatives have failed to stop abusing the temporary foreign worker program. 2 years ago, the Conservatives promised to create a blacklist of employers who had broken the rules of the temporary foreign worker program. Today, 2 years later, there are still no names. Let me repeat this, Mr. Speaker. There are no names on the list, despite Alberta, one province, identifying over 100 cases where employers broke the rules. And that's just one province, Mr. Speaker. We have 10 others in 3 territories. Why should Canadians take the Conservatives' promise to address the abuse of the temporary foreign worker program seriously? Why should we trust them now, Mr. Speaker? The truth is there isn't a lot of trust between the Canadians and the government. Many Canadians who may have cast their vote for the Conservatives found out the hard way how flimsy that trust is when the government announced changes to the GIS and old age security. I know that many of my constituents in Scarborough Rouge River are concerned about their livelihood and future regarding these changes. The Budget Implementation Bill stops payment of the Guaranteed Income Supplement and the Old Age Security Survivor Allowance to sponsored immigrants. Even those who have lived in Canada for 10 years, even if they're still within their sponsorship period during which their families are responsible for them financially, which, of course, the Conservatives doubled from 10 years to 20 years just last year. This means that immigrants who arrived under the Family Reunification Program may have to wait up to 20 years to be eligible for the Guaranteed Income Supplement and Survivor Allowance. Does this seem fair to new Canadians? Let me repeat that, Mr. Speaker, so it's very clear. This bill would change the rules so that there would be no more Guaranteed Income Supplement or Old Age Security Survivor Allowance for sponsored immigrants during the entire sponsorship period, a waiting period of up to 20 years. Unbelievable. Just as unbelievable as yesterday's announcement from the Transportation Safety Board that revealed that Canadian rail companies are not reporting all derailments. My constituents are very concerned about rail safety in our community, Mr. Speaker. Scarborough Rouge River is a populated and dense community. We have trains that run throughout our community and have the large Eastern Toronto rail yard right in the centre of our community. There's a great concern about our safety and our environment. I think that these concerns have crossed the minds of many Canadians, not only my constituents of Scarborough Rouge River, but any Canadian who lives by the rails. This is what makes the Conservatives' unwillingness to open the Omnibus Budget Implementation Bill to allow independent study of all of the important parts so dangerous, Mr. Speaker. The Budget Implementation Act would allow the government to change and repeal a wide variety of railway safety regulations without informing the public. That includes the standards for engineering, worker training, hours of work, and maintenance and performance. Cabinet decisions changing safety requirements for the transport of dangerous goods would also now be a secret, including changes to the classification of dangerous goods, the training and qualifications of inspectors, and rules regarding importation and transportation of these goods. These changes prevent the public from knowing when Conservatives weaken safety measures and will prevent experts from advising the minister before the changes come into effect. It's not really a change that they're making that's going to make our railways safer and our community safer. Why are the Conservatives regressing on railway safety, Mr. Speaker, and moving the results of government decisions on railway safety behind closed doors? Which brings up another larger question. Why are the Conservatives against opening the door to transparency? We see it time and time again, Mr. Speaker. The Conservatives want to keep the changes to railway safety regulations closed. The Conservatives don't want to open this omnibus bill because they don't want members to tell them what Canadians really think. They don't want all of us, 308 of us elected, to tell them what Canadians think, what's really going on in the country. But the omnibus budget bill doesn't need to be opened for me to share what the NDP would like to do, Mr. Speaker. We must invest in economic development and high-quality middle-class jobs. That is a priority for the NDP. We can do this by working with the private sector to help Canadian businesses strengthen, grow, and create jobs. We should continue to build on the existing job creation tax credit for small and medium-sized businesses to help the true drivers of our economy grow, the SMEs. We need to make more jobs available to Canadians by stopping the abuse of the Temporary Foreign Worker Program. The Government of Canada should work with the provinces to improve monitoring. Employment and Skills Development Canada and Citizenship and Immigration must be able to deny employers labour market opinions and withdraw work permits from employers who abuse the program. But we should also set out a path for citizenship for temporary foreign workers to encourage skilled workers to stay in Canada and continue to contribute to the economy. The government needs to fulfill its commitment to help Canadians save and invest for their retirement. The NDP will continue to fight for the immediate reversal of the federal government's plan to raise the retirement age for old age security and guaranteed income supplement to 67. I could continue, but I don't want to give it all away, Mr. Speaker, and I know I'm running out of time. I would rather share it with my colleagues across the floor after we open up the omnibus budget bill. But I fear that the government won't budge, Mr. Speaker. The Conservative government will continue to cry out otherwise, but Canadians recognize that this is just another omnibus budget bill designed to ram through this House hundreds and hundreds of changes with little study, with as little oversight as possible, and that's just not fair, Mr. Speaker. Canadians deserve better, and that's why the NDP is here, to be the real eyes and ears on the ground from Canadians and to hold this government to account, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Questions and comments? Question commentaire. The honourable member, the honourable Minister of Labour.
Thank you very much. I thank my colleague opposite for her speech. There's a number of items that she touched on, but I guess the thing that resonates the most with myself is her lack of attention to focusing on jobs and job creation. Economic Action Plan 2014 focused substantially on job creation. So whether it be the $55 million investment in internships for young Canadians, or whether it be the new apprenticeship opportunity with the apprenticeship scholarship program that is being created by the Government of Canada to support those young Canadians who are most interested in entering into apprenticeships. We know that there is substantive support needed. We're addressing that concern. It's concerning to me that the member opposite does not focus on those opportunities for young Canadians, and I guess I do ask her, these are substantive initiatives creating jobs and job opportunities, skills training for young Canadians. Why is she not supporting this budget bill with those fabulous opportunities for young Canadians, many of which live in her riding, many of which live in my riding? I'm supporting this budget bill because of those initiatives. Why isn't she? And maybe she could be accountable for that and comment on it here in the House.
The honourable member for Scarborough Rouge River.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the Minister of Labour for her comments and questions that she put forward. I wish she would actually open up the omnibus budget bill so that we can actually debate it, so that we can actually look at each individual parts of it. Like I mentioned, there are some parts of this budget that we support, the NDP supports, and from day one we've always been supportive of creating jobs and taking care of the high level of unemployment in this country and extremely higher level of underemployment in this country. We know that a quarter of our university graduates, with an undergraduate degree are severely unemployed or underemployed, and this government has been the one in charge of making that happen. This government has been the one sitting at the driver's seat while we saw a quarter of our university graduates being severely unemployed or underemployed. And why is it that this minister all of a sudden now this Conservative government and this minister cares about the youth in this country and are saying that they're doing something for the young people in this country? Why is it that they sat there and watched as a quarter of our university graduates became unemployed or severely underemployed? I talk to young people in my community every day, and they're hoping that they could actually have jobs in our community. And this government is the one that sat there and watched as they sent jobs out of this country. They're the ones who allowed the temporary foreign worker program to be abused and to have jobs taken away from our young people and our Canadians. And this minister now has the audacity to say that we are not fighting for Canadians and for our young people's jobs. Please, Mr. Speaker, I don't need to repeat myself again.
Questions and comments? Question commentaire. The honourable member for Scarborough Southwest.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank my colleague for that speech, and certainly segued nicely into what I want to talk about, and that's, of course, young Canadians and students. We've already heard about the crushing unemployment that youth are facing, and now the cancellation of the small business hiring tax credit. But, Mr. Speaker, there's something else that's also happening to young people that hasn't been discussed yet. For some odd reason, the government decided to cancel the $5,000 vehicle exemption that students will get when they apply for student loans. And, Mr. Speaker, this is going to make life much more difficult and education less affordable and accessible for rural and suburban students in particular. And I just want to say, of course, statistics are showing that if you live between 40 and 80 kilometers away from a post-secondary education institute, you are 31% less likely to attend. And now, with cancelling the vehicle exemption of $5,000 that students used to be able to put against their student loans, they'll now face larger costs in attending school, in particular for a school like U of T Scarborough campus, which is in my colleague's riding.
The honourable member for Scarborough Rouge River, you have about 50 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Such an important question that I'd love to take 10 minutes to answer. And I thank my colleague for this question and the statistics that he pointed out. What this government is doing is making it harder for already underprivileged students who have to rely on the student loan program to be able to get themselves through school, like I did myself, Mr. Speaker. If I didn't have access to the OSAP loans and the vehicle exemption tax credit, I wouldn't have been able to afford going to school. I wouldn't have been able to afford having a university degree, and that's what this government is trying to do. They're trying to make it so that children or youth who grow up in communities or who grow up in families that are not privileged don't go to school. They're trying to make it more difficult for students who grow up in poverty or in situations where education is the key for them to leave that cycle of poverty, that cycle of discrimination, whatever it might be, that this government is making it more difficult for people like me to be able to have an education and serve my community and my country and to get out of the cycle, vicious cycle of poverty. And that is not fair. We need to be making sure that we're looking out for all students and all young people in our country, not just the privileged. We need to make sure that it doesn't make sense that they canceled the $5,000 vehicle exemption credit, because rural and suburban communities need to make sure their young people are getting educated as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.